Hey Retro fans, welcome to another episode of Retro Gaming Memories. In this year-end review, Christmas specially type episode, we're just going to have a little chat about the year that has been, what I've been up to, what I've been collecting, all that kind of stuff. Just a bit of a retrospective really, and to talk about some Christmas memories. It's been a quieter year for me, I suppose. I've kind of slowed down in the collecting really, apart from one thread, and that was the Amsoft stuff, which is up there. Well, up there actually, you can't really see it. Yeah, I kind of decided to try and collect all Amsoft games, and I'm 96% there, I think. I've got like 4 titles to get or something like that. So we're almost there, so that's going well. Yeah, the Amsoft games are a weird thing because it's fueled by pure nostalgia. There aren't that many great Amsoft games that I've seen so far. There are a few that are really good fun. There are a few that are good because they're fueled by nostalgia. And there are quite a lot that are not very good at all. But it's funny how nostalgia kind of drives your opinion of stuff, and that nostalgia fueled stuff kind of led me to do the Were They Really That Bad series that I'd started earlier on in the year, where I'd go back and I'd look at games, and it just so happens that they were all Amstrad games to start with. But I'd go back and have a little look at them and see if they were as bad as I remember, because I remember being, as a kid, I was playing games in the arcade and all that kind of stuff, and then inevitably they would get ported to the Amstrad. And, I would go out and buy the games really hoping for that arcade experience at home. And it was never going to happen because it was on an 8-bit computer as opposed to this dedicated arcade hardware. So I always had in my mind that, generally speaking, arcade ports were fairly poor representations. The music was never the same, the graphics obviously weren't, and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of blinkered my approach to arcade ports on the Amstrad, on my beloved Amstrad. And it was wrong. It was my young brain. I've got the excuse of being young and stupid at that point. So going back and having a look in this retrospective was quite good, because games that I had always kind of poo-pooed as being poor quality arcade ports really weren't. There were a few surprising ones, like Afterburner. I quite enjoy Afterburner in the arcade. I don't play it a huge amount because it is just a button basher for me. It's there's no real skill to it. It's just kind of avoiding stuff and firing everything that you can. It's just chaos on screen, but it's good fun for a blast. Don't get me wrong. And anyway, the Amstrad version turned out, it really surprised me. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good fun. And I got further in the Amstrad version than I've ever got in the arcade, and there was bits of the game that I'd never seen before. Now I don't know if they're in the arcade version or what, but it really surprised me about how kind of fluid it all was, and all the arcade elements were there, and it was, it looked nice, and although it was 8-bit graphics, it was still really good and still really enjoyable. So there were a few that surprised me, and there were a few that kind of looked good when static. Altered Beast springs to mind. It looked pretty good. It played really horribly. It was really sluggish, and there was controls. They didn't have all the controls in the game that you could do in the arcade and all that kind of stuff. And obviously they're going to have to make concessions to do an 8-bit port of a dedicated arcade game. But the Amstrad could pull it out the bag when it wanted to. Operation Wolf still sits at my top arcade conversion. The Amstrad version looks beautiful. It plays really well. I'm pretty sure there's a bug in it, which means you can never complete it. And I have completed it. I have played it through to completion, but I can't quite remember if my version is like a fixed version that has the kind of bug removed or what. I'm not sure. I don't actually remember. It was years ago when I played it through to completion. But Operation Wolf is still a basically one of my favourite arcade games of all time, and the Amstrad conversion was a great conversion. You know, it looked beautiful, it sounded good, all the stuff was there, all the gameplay was there, and it played really, considering you were playing it, I used to play it with keys, and considering you were playing it with keys rather than a light gun, so you didn't have that immediate response. And for the technophobes out there, it wasn't actually a light gun, I know that, it was a gun mounted on an XY joystick, but you know what I mean, pointing a gun at a screen, you didn't have that immediate response. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, so that kind of nostalgia fueled thing for me was a good reason to go and try some of these kind of retrospectives. People took mixed there was mixed reviews of the series that I did. There was a lot of people, I shared the videos on Facebook, and there was a lot of people basically gave me grief and abuse, saying these weren't rubbish, you know, don't know what you're talking about, blah blah blah, and all that kind of shit. And I don't care. I'm not the kind of guy that gets upset by people talking crap. I don't care. But I did kind of on a couple of occasions say, look, you've missed the point here. The whole thing is, and if these people hadn't even watched the video, because at the intro to all the videos I said just what I've said 10 minutes ago, that this was me going back as a retrospective to see if they were as bad as my young brain remembered, you know. But I thought, I'm not justifying myself to people. I don't care. If people want to watch a video, fine. If people don't like it, fine. If people want to give me grief, I don't care. You're wasting your typing time, because I'm not going to read it, I'm not going to respond to it, and I don't give a shit, basically. So yeah, but you know, I make the videos primarily for me and things that I think people might enjoy. And if people aren't going to take the time to watch them and actually understand what they're watching, then that's their problem. But yes, anyway, on a different note, that was kind of what I was saying really about the Amsoft stuff as well. There's games, Amsoft games that are not brilliant. Harrier Attack, for example. Now, it's good fun. It's quite a basic game, you know, but there's nostalgia fueled there, because a lot of us that had Amstrads got Harrier Attack as part of the 12 pack that came with the machine. So there is a lot of nostalgia there for it, and it's still good fun to play. It is, like I say, very basic and it's a bit sluggish, but it's good fun. Fruit Machine, the Amsoft Fruit Machine is still one of my favourite Fruit Machine games on any system. It's got all the elements of Fruit Machines that you'd want. You know, there are slightly prettier looking versions of Fruit Machine games and whatnot, and some that try to kind of emulate later machines, but it's Fruit Machine. Amsoft's Fruit Machine has got all the elements that you would want, and it's still great fun. And you know, seeing how much you can get for spending your £5, seeing how much you can rack up, you know, and you can just go daft and just gamble everything, or you can actually play a strategic game. You know, there's quite a lot of depth to it for a free title. Excuse me. But yeah, so anyway, the Amsoft stuff, I still want to complete the collection, and then, you know, I may go through and kind of play through some more of them. I had started to do some before, and we might have a look at them and do stuff with them, I'm not sure. Anyway, moving on from that, apart from that, I've not really been collecting that much. I've got a few bits and bobs for the Amiga. I've bought a few Amiga games. But as I've kind of said before in my videos, that I'm quite lucky that my collection's pretty stable. It's went through a few iterations over the years to kind of, you know, buy games that I fancied, have a shot, maybe no like them that much, and sell them on. And so there's been this kind of churn over time. And now my collection is pretty kind of stable. It's got to a point that I've got most of the games that I want. But you know, there's a few games that I still want, but some of them are stupid prices, and I'm just not willing to pay stupid money. I've done that before. I bought Streets of Rage 3, and I paid about 65 quid for it about 3 years ago, and I got it, and it was such a disappointment. It played okay and there was nice elements to it, but the music was just dreadful. And the music in the Streets of Rage series has always been the highlight for me. And they tried something really funky with it. They tried kind of procedurally generated, I can't even say it, procedurally generated music. So it was essentially like a loop sample player thing. And there was elements of it that were quite nice, but it just didn't work. Now, I don't know if it was because it was a 50 hertz PAL machine. I don't know if it played better on an NTSC machine. I'm not sure. But it was grating. It got to the point it was just, I couldn't actually play the game for that music. Just ripped my ears apart. It was making my ears bleed, and you couldn't turn the music off. So it was a huge disappointment. I actually sold Streets of Rage 3. I got rid of it. The completist in me liked having Streets of Rage 1, 2 and 3, but the gamer in me thought, this is pointless, I'm never going to play this. Just get rid of it and buy something else that I will play. So that's what I did. So I have kind of streamlined my collection. There's some games I'll never get rid of, and there's some that are potentially going to be sold off to try and get different games, you know, just a little change. I have bought a few games for my Mega Drive, a few games that I've always fancied, a few that I've just thought, why not? And I even made an exception. I've got one game which sits here, Fire Shark. It's a cracking shooter. I think it's Toaplan that made it, but it's absolutely brilliant vertical shooter. And that is the only game that I have got. Yes, only game, apart from Atari 2600, that's the only game I've got that doesn't have a manual. So if anybody out there has got a Fire Shark manual that you want to sell me, please let me know. But yeah, generally speaking, I don't buy anything unless it's got it's complete in a manual. It doesn't need to be pristine condition, but I want a manual. I want the instructions and stuff. Sometimes Atari carts are hard to find with manuals, let alone boxes. But that's the only Mega Drive game. It was a good price, and that was the only Mega Drive game I've got that doesn't have a manual. So like I say, if you have a Fire Shark manual and you want to sell it, please let me know. I'm sure we can come to some arrangement. Have I been buying anything else? I did buy a huge Amiga job lot. There was like 3 or 4 machines in it, loads of discs, books, 2 monitors, all sorts of stuff. Ended up kind of repairing bits and bobs, cleaning it all up, checking what worked and what didn't, and then selling it all off. I kept a couple of bits for myself. There's a little stack of CDs that you can probably just see there. A lot of those are the what they call the Aminet CDs. Because one thing I've never done is put my Amiga online. I know you can do it, I know you can get all the kit to do it, but I never had the Amiga online back in the day, and I thought, you know, the way you used to get software if you didn't put your machine on the internet was to get the Aminet CDs. So I thought I'm going to keep them. So I've got about, I don't know, 20 of them. In fact, one of them's still sealed. April 96. So Aminet 11, yes, very nice. So things like that, you know, keeping the, I can't even get back in there, we go. The Aminet CDs and stuff is just for a little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of fun, you know. It's quite nice to kind of pop them in and have a little look to see what's on them. 90% of it will be useless, but some of it, you know, there might be a hidden gem or two in there. But that's one for another day. Well, I've been buying anything else really. Bought quite a few Switch games. Switch games? I have bought Switch games. I was thinking Wii. Places that were having kind of clear outs of Wii games. I bought a few of those. I do love the Wii as well. It's a great machine. And there's even a little bit of nostalgia there for the Wii, although it's a recent console. It's now obviously retro. But I remember watching videos for the Wii when it was coming out, all the pre-launch videos on IGN and all that kind of stuff. And I remember seeing the preview videos for Red Steel. And I thought, oh my god, that looks amazing. It's a first-person shooter that I can control with this remote thing. And it just looked amazing. So when I bought the console, I didn't buy it on launch. It was about a week later, where you couldn't get them for love nor money. But I walked into a game in Glasgow, and they had 2. The manageress was kind of shouting out, "I've got 2 Wii consoles," and I snagged one. It was a kind of complete off-the-cuff purchase, but I bought it, and I got Excite Truck and Red Steel with it. Well, I bought them at the time. You know, the Wii was just itself. There was no kind of pack-in games or anything like that, apart from Wii Sports. But what a laugh! I mean, it was amazing. We went home and I think we played, as a family, we played Wii Sports for 2 or 3 hours, and everybody that came round, all the family that came round, you know, none of them had a Wii, so we were playing Wii boxing and tennis, and all the bowling was always great fun. And it was such a laugh watching these people, you know, watching all the family doing all the motions and bowling and all that kind of stuff, and getting really into it, even though you're playing this little cartoon avatar thing. It was great fun to play that, and I loved Excite Truck. That was just great fun, putting your own tracks on an SD card and having your own music to it. And I loved Red Steel. It was absolutely brilliant. So much so I went about 2 or 3 months ago, I went back and played it from scratch. I deleted my saved game and played it again from scratch. Great fun, really loved it. And I still have a lot of fondness for the Wii. Still quite happily buy games for it. I love the motion controls on it. They played a blinder with that. And there's a doorbell, so let's have a jump cut and I'll be back in a minute. Right, it's always the same. I'm recording this on Christmas Eve, so that was kind of last minute parcels turning up. It's one of these things where, we'll deliver it between 8 AM and 8 PM, and you can guarantee if you nip to the toilet or you start doing a video, they're going to ding the bell. So anyway, parcels here, all good. There's nothing else coming as far as I know. So, what was I talking about? Yes, the Wii. Yeah, I was kind of done with that. So the Wii was great fun. I still have a lot of nostalgia for it. I have a lot of fondness for it. I think it's a great system, and obviously you can hack it and do all sorts of stuff with it. I had at one point hacked my Wii, but I put it back to how it was, because I just thought, you know, I don't really hack my machines. I don't pull them apart, and I'm not interested. I like having original games. I'm not interested in having a hard drive full of stuff. The only machine that I don't have that way is the Dreamcast, and I had a fairly decent Dreamcast collection a couple of years back, and when we moved house I sold it all because I really wasn't using it. But then I got that SD card loader thing. I was over at Main Meisters and he showed me the SD card loader. So I bought one of those online. I've got a video about fitting it and all that kind of thing. But it's great because you can obviously just play the games, because there was a few cracking games on the Dreamcast that weren't ported to anything else. Oh Christ, what the hell's that game? There's a light gun game. It's just completely dropped out my head. But anyway, there's a light gun game that's a kind of Dreamcast exclusive. It wasn't ported to anything. So things like that. And there's obviously some brilliant shows in the Dreamcast. So, but generally speaking, I like games, original games, on the unmodified hardware. So having the hacked Wii, you know, I know you could add hard drives and have like complete GameCube collections and have the cover flow and have all the Wii games and that, but I like the tangibility of putting whatever, a disc or a CD or a tape or whatever it is, into the cartridge, into the machine, and turning it on and having the kind of proper retro experience. That's all part of it. For me, if you had a machine with thousands of games on a hard drive, you'd be as well just having a big PC and an emulator. You know, it's not for me. I know it's some people like it, and that's great, but I prefer having the original kit, putting it in and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, what else have I been up to? Pinball. I've actually been playing quite a lot of pinball stuff. A few years back I kind of dipped my toe into the whole virtual pinball world, and I've got virtual pinball running on my arcade cabinet, and it does the kind of 3/4 view thing, and it plays really well. It's really good fun. But it was never the kind of full proper experience, you know, an actual pinball table. So I had been playing with all sorts of future pinball and various other bits, and I kind of thought I'm going to build an actual pinball machine. So that's what I started. A couple of months ago I started building a pinball machine, a virtual pinball machine. and it's got a 32-inch TV as a playfield, so it's kind of like 3/4 size. 32-inch playfield, and it's got a 19-inch back glass essentially. And I set my PC up, and I've got Future Pinball and all that installed in it, and I was testing that, and that was great. But I only recently realised that the Switch, Nintendo Switch, you can get Zen Pinball and all that kind of stuff, and the Stern Pinball Arcade and various other things. But there's a there's a thing. I was on a Facebook, or still am on a Facebook group called the Virtual Pinball Cabinet Builders something, and some guy, some genius, had posted up this video, and he had made a pinball machine from an arcade cabinet, from a cardboard box. So he got a big cardboard box, and he had mounted a TV in it. Now it didn't have a back glass on it; it just had a couple of speakers. And I've got a video about this that you might have seen. But he put his Switch in. He built this custom pinball controller out of a third-party Switch controller, and he did an amazing job. And I'm going to kind of replicate that. But anyway, he set it up, and the Switch is the only home console that has cabinet mode, which means it puts the screen, it rotates it, and it puts it flat as if you're looking at a cabinet. So on the PC, you can get cabinet mode on Zen Pinball and a few other bits and bobs, and you've obviously got like Future Pinball and all that kind of thing. But you need a PC with a pretty chunky graphics card. And when I realised that the humble Switch could emulate or run like Pinball FX and all that kind of stuff in cabinet mode, I thought this was a revelation to me. This was amazing, because there's some great tables on the Zen Pinball or Pinball FX3, and they've recently ported over. They've started doing Williams tables, so there's like all the classics: Tales of the Arabian Nights, Circus Voltaire, Theatre of Magic, Medieval Madness. All these kind of big tables are all being ported into Zen Pinball. So that for me was a bit of a revelation. So I tried out. I got my TV. I just brought it in and I sat it down, and I had a little go, and I tried out the different pinball games in cabinet mode, and I loved it. And I thought this is great. I don't have to have a huge PC running and heating loads of stuff up. I can run this off a Switch. So that was a big revelation for me. And that guy, can't remember his name, but thank you whoever you are. The control setup that he had, because he had used dangling wires, so that if you tilted the cabinet like that you would do in real life, it actually registered and would do a proper tilt. So if you want to do that mechanism in a virtual pinball environment on a PC, if you want to physically move the cabinet to shunt the ball, which is a big part of pinball, you need a special controller that's got like magnesium switches and all sorts of stuff in it to be able to replicate that. And the Switch does it. This guy's come up with a really clever way of doing it. And you can do it in the Switch using a 15 quid controller. So I thought this is a way for me. So that's what I'm doing. It'll probably be the spring before I finish the pinball cabinet. It's too cold to work out in the garage just now. And then once I've done that, I'm going to move on to doing another arcade cabinet. I'm going to do a vertical cabinet that's running off a Raspberry Pi. I've got the Pi image all ready to go. So I just need to actually build the cabinet, mount the monitor, and off we go. So I've got a few projects going on for next year that are going to keep me busy, more so out in the garage, because ultimately I'm going to convert 2/3 of the garage into a kind of home arcade with a pool table and that kind of thing. So we'll be doing more videos about that later on in the spring next year. But yeah, so that's it as far as the kind of retrospectives concerned, I think. And I'm sure I've bored you all senseless with all my witterings on. But it's Christmas. It is Christmas time, and that's Christmas time to me is always about, or has always been about, games. Ever since I was a kid growing up, I always got, obviously it was toys and stuff when I was younger, but when I got into video games, I got an Atari for my Christmas one year, and it would be about 1981 maybe. I got an Atari 2600, and I've done videos on all this stuff before, but that kick-started everything for me. That was a an amazing revelation that I could play, and that I owned my own system, that I could play these games at home. And I absolutely loved the Atari. Huge nostalgia for it. I've still got a pretty good collection of games. I've still got my Atari, and I still play it, and I still enjoy it as much as playing, you know, Uncharted or whatever. I still get as much fun out of playing these games as I do modern stuff. But that kick-started my Christmas euphoria for gaming, because my mum and dad, you know, we weren't poor growing up, but we didn't have a lot of money, certainly. You know, as most working class families didn't have a lot of money, but my mum and dad always pulled out all the stops, and I was the luckiest little shit ever, because I used to get, every few years, it wasn't every year obviously, but every few years I would get an upgrade on a gaming system, you know, because I went for the Atari to the Amstrad, for the Amstrad to the Mega Drive, for the Mega Drive I got an Amiga, which I bought myself, but then my folks got me the CD32, and then they got me a PlayStation. God, I can't even remember, it just went nuts. And then my wife, she's continued that tradition. She, first year we were together, she bought me an Xbox, original Xbox, and then she's bought me a GameCube, and she bought me a Switch, and she's bought me a PlayStation 4. You know, it just, Christmas is always, to me, it's always been excitement of getting a games console or games for the console. And even this year, you know, I think I'll be getting a few games for Santa. So even as a 44, I'll be 45 in a few weeks, but you know, even as a 45-year-old adult, I still look forward to getting games and toys at Christmas, because that to me is what it's all about. And I know it's supposed to be all about kids and stuff like that, and that's fine, you know, I'll still buy kids toys and all that kind of stuff, but as far as I'm concerned, it's always been about video games and toys and good stuff. You know, I always used to be disappointed if I got clothes at Christmas. I was always grateful, but you know, you're like, oh well, I can't play that, can I? So put it in a drawer and forget about it. So yeah, so I mean, it's things have slowed down as far as consoles at Christmas and all that kind of stuff, because you know, I've got pretty much all the consoles I want. I don't have an Xbox One, but I don't want an Xbox One because there's not enough stuff on it that warrants me wanting one or buying one. You know, the Gears of War series I don't really enjoy. Forza's a great game, but it's no enough for me to want to go out and buy it. The Halo series I enjoyed up to a point, but again, there's not enough kind of exclusive stuff on it that would make me want to go out and get the Xbox One. You know, I've kind of went down the PlayStation 4 route, and the PS4's obviously got VR and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure the Xbox is doing great stuff, and if you're an Xbox gamer and you enjoy it, then that's great. I'm not taking anything away from the Xbox, it's just, it would be excess for me to have an Xbox One. And I don't know when the PlayStation 5's coming out, you know, I've seen kind of bits and bobs about that, but I think I've probably plateaued. You know, the PS4 will probably be the last kind of next gen console that I get, unless they do something ridiculous, but I kind of see what I would need going forward. You know, the graphics are almost photorealistic at the moment, you've got the whole VR thing. You know, what more could you possibly need? Unless they introduce some kind of new control, like the kind of Oculus Vive or whatever it's called, where you've got the kind of controllers. Although they've got that now, really, haven't they? But I think controllers and interaction with the games would be the only kind of new upgrade that they could do. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to stop whittling on because I'm just talking shite now, really. But let me know in the comments what you're hoping to get from Santa, or what's been your best kind of gaming memory from Christmases past. You know, there's always a huge nostalgia at Christmas for me, and I still get a bit excited. You know, the memories of getting these things, which was always very special, and kind of reliving it. And you know, that's what I do. I'm fortunate I get to take 2 weeks off at Christmas. You know, and those 2 weeks, apart from seeing family and things like that, is basically for me is spent playing games. And sometimes it's a complete nostalgia trip. you know, dig out the Amstrad and I'll play stuff from Amstrad Action in 1985 or whatever, you know, look at the charts and just play those games. But it will be gaming of some description. So anyway, let me know in the comments what your best kind of Christmas surprise has been. Is there, you know, of your folks or whoever that used to buy you presents, has anybody kind of pulled it out of the bag and got you a complete blinder of a present that you had no idea you were getting? That happened with me with the Mega Drive, and I've covered that in my Sega Mega Drive video. But yeah, my mum and dad got me the Mega Drive. I knew nothing about it. I don't even remember hinting about a Mega Drive. I don't think I'd even seen one. But yeah, I had my Amstrad at the time, and I got some Amstrad games for Christmas, and my mum gave me this game. It was all wrapped up, and when I opened it, it was Sonic the Hedgehog. And I was like, you know, thank you very much, but I don't have a Mega Drive, I've got an Amstrad, you know. And she says, is it not the right game? I says, well, it looks brilliant. I says, but I can't play it. You know, we can maybe take it back or something, get your money back. And she says, no, you better just have this, and handed me a Mega Drive. And I was like, holy shit. And it came with Streets of Rage. Oh my god, I loved beat 'em up games in the arcade. They were favourite genre games. And just having Streets of Rage, to be able to play that in the house, it was just mind blowing. It was just amazing. That was one of the best Christmases ever. But yeah, just complete left field. I had no idea about it, and they just surprised me with this machine. It was absolutely amazing. So do you have any memories like that? Do you know, what's your favourite Christmas memory? And what's your Christmas? Send me a video responsey thing if you fancy, if you can't be bothered typing. You know, I'm always glad to get feedback from people and hear what they've been up to or what they thought of the video and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let me know. And apart from that, just I hope everybody has a great Christmas. Whatever you do, I hope Santa's good to you. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, just enjoy the holidays, just have time off or whatever, see family, whatever you do. But yeah, have a great time anyway, and I shall see you in the new year at some point. We might do a Christmas pickups video, we'll see. But yeah, have a great time anyway, and I shall see you next year.